Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday morning. Yay. Hope everyone is having a great morning so far. Weather is great here. It's not raining. Has been a little rainy. Like I said, I guess we needed it. It is actually 52 degrees. Up to a high of 72 today. 52 to 72, so that's a pretty good day. Can't complain about that. It is a little colder than I would prefer, but 72 by midday seems just fine. So let's talk about what knives I carried. And of course, I carried this last night and all day yesterday, and I'm probably over 1,300 firings with no misfires yet. I have cut lots of things yesterday that I wouldn't have normally cut with an OTF because of how stable it is. I felt like it was a real knife for the first time ever. So I'm really liking this thing. Can't wait till they come out with the Combat Trudon with the ZBP. Good morning, Mr. John and Mr. Pete. Hope you gentlemen are doing great this morning. So I had that in my pocket, and then I got this yesterday. So the knife that I couldn't remember what I was having delivered yesterday was this one, the TS559. And Pete had mentioned he wondered about this hole and if your finger would get stuck in it, and I've tried every way possible to open it using this, and your finger does not get stuck in it any kind of way. I was wondering the same thing, like if you would get hung up on it, but I can't get it to hang up at all. Only one problem with this knife that I've got so far, and I hope I can fix it, although might not be able to, and that is it has a minuscule, tiniest bit of lock rock, and it is a liner lock, and it's got very ample pressure, and it's going over quite far on the knife already. And even if I push on it a little bit more, it still has that little bit of lock rock. So I'm wondering if the surface of the liner is not even where it contacts the blade. So I'm going to take it apart and kind of maybe do just a little hand sanding and see if I can get the surfaces to meet up better. But it does have the tiniest bit of lock rock. Other than that, great knife, super comfortable. Yeah, very comfortable. I like it. The overall length of the OTF, when it's open or closed, I'll give you both. So when it is open, it is 8.5 inches to the end of the glass breaker. 8.5 inches right to the end of the point there. And then with it closed, it is 4 and... Well, if you go all the way to the glass breaker again, it's right at 5. So take away another 1/8 of an inch or so, almost 1/4 of an inch for the body. 5 and 8.5. If you go to the end of the glass breaker. Yeah, John, it's plenty big. I mean, It is a lot smaller than the Combat Trudon, but blade length is very easily, it's like 3.6, 3.7 maybe. But the Combat Trudon is a lot bigger. And it's kind of, I wish there was one in between the two. They make a UTX 85 because of how big this one is. It's too big for some people. So that should tell you something, John, that they make an 85% version of this for people who like smaller knives. So this is the full size one. But the Combat Trudon is a lot bigger, heftier knife. Yes, the blade is super sharp. I have stropped it already. Don't have a piece of paper handy to show you, but it will cut paper. Just, I mean, like, you can make S-curve cuts on it. But this is a kind of a beast. It is to the back of the glass. Well, just the knife itself is like 5.3, and then it's like 5 3/4 to the end of the glass breaker, and then the blade on it is dang near 4 inches. It is 4 inches to the back here. And overall length is like 9.5 to the back of the glass breaker. And right at 9 to the back of the frame. And the trigger button is way harder on this one than it is on this one. Girls have trouble pushing on this one and opening it. Occasionally, a couple that I've handed it to. And this one, they've been able to open easily. They do have a plain aluminum. Well, they have the silver aluminum. They do have the silver one, John. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, maybe you're wanting it like a lighter gray color. But they do have the silver ones right here. In fact, that's what I ordered. My drop point version was the silver one. Good morning, mister. Good morning, William. Yeah, I ordered the drop point version of, I ordered, let's see, where is it? I ordered that one right there. Oops. EDC 37 by Nightcore. EDC 37. That's a pretty cool looking little unit there. 8,000 lumens. 8,000 milliamp battery. Unleash the beast. That's pretty cool. I still love the little one I've got on my keychain. There's nothing wrong with it. It is that, I don't know what it's called. Let's see. It's the Woobin G5. One I've got on my keychain. Woobin G5. It's this little one right here with the rotating top. It'll rotate 180 degrees. Yeah, I've had good luck with this little one. It's 20% off, so it's just $20. It's got some cool little modes on it too. All right. Olight Mini. Morning, Mr. Ed. Hope you're doing well, sir. But yep. Any day now they should come out with the Combat Trudon, I hope. Speaking of which, I'm still wondering when the new Lemifshi knife will come out. He's got a few in the works. I haven't been keeping up with Reddit too much, so Chinese knives. That's a great knife. I've got one of those, Shanzhou Golden, the Peafowl. I've actually got that right up here behind me. I've got the other version of it. I've got that version, but I actually have this version too. It's a super cool little knife by Shanzhou. Kind of dirty, needs to be wiped off. D King, I'm talking about the Zero blade play. I'm talking about the Generation 3 like this one. The Vespa. I mean, yeah, I've got a Combat Trudon right here on the table. I realize they're out, but that's a Gen 2. I want a Gen 3 with the Zero blade play. But yeah, this little Shanzhou Peafowl is a great little Amazon knife. Good morning, by the way, D King. There was something else. Oh, there's the Waka blades. There's an update. At least we get to see what the blade's going to look like. I like the look of the blade. There's the handles. So the Waka should be coming soon. Wow, that blade looks good. If y'all would be so kind as to smash that like button, that'd be awesome. Blades are getting their final touches. Sharknivko Holy Waka. Yeah, that's one of the ones I was waiting to come out. That's why I typed Lemifshi knife to see if somebody posted a comparison of the oh, there's a new Shiro, it looks like. So Green Thorn will be coming out with that one soon. Kind of like the looks of that one. Sharknivko, let's see. Says overall length 7.8 to 7.875. Blade length 3.3 to 3.4 for the full size. And the mini is 6.75 long. Not quite 8 inches, but 3.4 inch blade, so not tiny. Let's see. Yeah, somebody posted a Chavez next to the original. There's that case we all love, or that I love. Yeah, there it is. There's the original versus a clone. Blade grind is way different. Backs look pretty good. Yeah, they've got those down pretty good as far as the clones go. All right. So I have gained a major appreciation for people that hand grind. Now I know why people use a belt sander to put the blade grind on a knife. Because it takes a lot of manual labor. And I've gained respect for people that do that on a daily basis. And I've learned that tools matter. And I've got the wrong kind of file, or I've got an old file that's not sharp, and this one is too short, so I'm sending it back, and I've ordered another one, a big 14-inch one. It should work great. But that being said, I have gotten somewhere with the grind on the fixed blade, and this is where I've gotten. I have not put the plunge line in, and I've not finished it. It's supposed to go up just a little bit higher here. I stopped a little early. I wanted to do some marking and use the marking fluid, and I thought today, and I left enough room here to put the plunge cut in, so I've got to put it in and then finish the sanding up to it. I didn't put it in yet. I haven't put it in on either side, but I'm getting close. But this is an hour and a half of filing, and I'm getting close to where we're supposed to be. Let me see if I can find that little piece of paper that we used to draw. Yeah, here we go. So you can see I've left a little bit of, I'm not up there completely because I want to make sure I get it lined up right. But what we're going to do today is we're going to put the plunge cut in. The plunge line, sorry. And we're going to try out some of this marking fluid. Morning, Tommy. And we're going to use my calipers to scribe a line along it so it's even on both sides. So we're going to try to do all that. So let's paint a little bit of this on here. Wow, this stuff stinks. I have never used this stuff in my life, but I got the right kind that I see in lots of other people's shops, etc. Well, I put way too much up there. All right. Let that dry a minute while we look at something else. All right. I have no idea, Mr. Tommy. Good morning, TC. What's your phone doing, Tommy? John, the blue stuff is to mask off and see where you've, to draw your lines. It's marking fluid. It's to mark on metal. So it is Dykem Steel Blue Layout Fluid. So it's called layout fluid. It is to lay out your lines. And you can tell when you're grinding or filing. You can see where you've worked and where it's touching. Yeah, let's go back. So let's see. Let's go back and let that dry for a second while we look at a little more. Should dry rather quickly. There you go. There's a size comparison between the two. Yeah, I can't wait to get a Vespa one of those. I like that blade a lot. And by the way, John, that's what the back of the blade looks like in reality on the Vespa there at the top. It does have the holes in it and the little fuller. They can't show that on the pictures here. But yeah, it does have the little fuller and all the little holes. Like in that picture there. No, Vespa hasn't come out with the Combat Trudon yet, John. That's what I was saying. Not the Gen 3. That's a real one. That's a real one next to the Vespa. Saw that yesterday. All right. I think this is about dry, maybe. Hold it up to the fan beside me here. Probably dropping a deuce. Yeah, John. It's a big boy though, just like I said. It's like almost 9.5 inches long. They're both good sizes. For everyday carry though, the Ultra Tech is a better size for every day. But this is a beast of a knife. So I think this is about dry. I don't know how long it takes to dry. But let's see if it's beginning to get dry here. All right, so I'm going to take my calipers and I'm going to decide where I want my line to stop. About right there, and then I'm going to lock it down. Then I'm going to hold this on the edge here. I think I want a little bit more. Let me go. Exactly 19 millimeters. Come on. There we go. I've got it set at 19.00. I've got it locked in. Then I'm going to hold it on the bottom here while I scribe a line around there. And now I've got a line. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it will be exactly even all the way up. So I need to bring the front in. You can see right up there, I've got to bring the front grind up some. The rest of it is pretty close. And then when I put my plunge line in here, I will make sure that I stop before that line. And while I have this set at 19 millimeters, I'm going to go ahead and mark the other side. All right. Now I will let that dry for a minute while we look at something else, and then I will mark that side same exact way. Blue stuff on my fingers. Yep, coffee is good, John. I'm real excited to get this finished, so I'm glad I've got a lot of that grind done. But we're going to do the plunge cut here in a minute, the plunge line. I'm going to start by putting a notch in it with my my single. No, this isn't it. With this, I'm going to start by putting a little notch on both sides down here at the bottom with this. And then we're going to use one of these chainsaw files to put the plunge line in. I'm not actually sure how big I want it, so I might use, got 3 different sizes of these round files. I'm probably going to use the smallest one. I'll be using this one. Should match up good. And I wish oh yeah. So you can see right here that it pretty much goes straight up. I don't know, I'll have to get my line, but I'm gonna try to go straight across. We will try to get that lined up like in the picture there. But I left enough room for the plunge cut, and I will have to go back and file some of this away after I get my plunge cut in. But I didn't go over far enough to affect the plunge cut, but I did want to get some material removed. So we're getting closer there. And I actually need to go up a little higher, so I'm going to go up to at least 20. Let's go to 21 and see where that lands. So as this one, you can see the grind was up higher, so that's too high. I'm going to go back to 20. All right. 20 looks good. Let's see. Yes. 20 is much better. I'm going to remark this. Up here at 20. Whoops. All right. Got a good line up there now at 20. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So there we go. We have the grind line up there on that one. Now they will match and be exactly even. So now let's get this plunge line in. Let me see how I can do this in here. Let me see if I can put it in the vise. Get it on camera. This vise might not stand up like I want it to because I can't suction it to anything. But we will try it, see what we got here. All right, that should be good. Now, we've got to start our notch with this and just get us a little line. And I'm going to put it right about there. I'm going to try to keep it horizontal with my I don't like this. I kind of want to do there we go. That's way better. Let me get a little bit more of a place put in with this. All right. That should be a good enough of a little notch to get my round file in. Hopefully. So let's see if I feel that little notch. I think I do. I want it to kind of go straight up. Let's see if I can get this thing started. I might need a little bit deeper of a groove. Yeah, I think I need a little bit deeper of a groove with this one. This thing does not feel like it's cutting very well. And the angle might look off from the camera, but I'm going straight across it. I just got to get enough of a little groove put in there. I think I've got enough of one now. I don't know if you can see that. All right, now let's see if I can get this round one to start acting right. Yes. Here we go. Hopefully y'all can see that little place where I got it started now. There we go. I wanted to go by hand, John, because it's my first knife and it's a lot harder to get them even with the belt. You'll go too deep on one side or at one area. And since I'm comfortable with a fixed angle knife sharpener, I'm comfortable with the files. Now I got to make sure I don't go any deeper into the blade, so I need to keep my angle tilting up. Almost flat across the knife. All right, it is going up. I don't know if y'all can see that. Where my plunge cut is. I got to keep it flush and flat across the blade so that I don't go too far into the middle of the blade. There we go. Got some more. And like I said, I am going straight across. The angle with the camera might not look like it, but I'm going straight across. Morning, Waylon. Man, I'm telling you, hand filing is something else. I totally respect these guys that do this and make it look easy. Wow. Come on, metal. Start disappearing. That's why I'm telling you, like, people that make this look simple on video, you gotta respect. And I probably need a better metal file, but this one is working. It's just a matter of labor. I definitely don't want to go any deeper at the edge of the knife, so I'm not going to touch the edge anymore. All right, we're getting there though. We're about halfway. There we go. We're getting there. We just have to go up to match that line. It's like I said, mad respect for guys that do this on a daily basis. And it said stop a little bit before the line, so you can finish it up and touch it up later. I've still got quite a bit of metal to remove between where I ground it and where this plunge cut is. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit further. About done, I think. I'm going to try to come up a little bit more to where that line will be. But yeah, like I said, I spent an hour and a half on that blade grind and still not done. So hand work I'm gonna cherish this knife, that's for sure. I definitely don't need to go any more into the blade, so I gotta keep it flat here. All right. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna do on video, but at least you can see now where this is. I'm getting there. Sorry guys if you're bored, but Thursday is about working on this knife. That's looking pretty good. And I'm almost up to where I want to be as far as where that line goes. All right. Maybe just a little bit more. All right, that looks good. Now I got to go back and file out all this metal in between, and that will give us a chance to check out what I've discovered about the filing jig and what's the easiest way to work with it. So, let me get my cell phone connected. And let's see here. Let's do a test shot, see if it's working. Yep, looks like it. All right, give me just a second. I'm going to go set this out here in the garage by the filing jig. All right. Now I'm going to move out there. I won't be able to see the chat for a minute, but y'all be able to hear me hopefully. I'm going to switch the microphone out there, and I will show you what's going on out there when I get out there. All right, so what I figured out is that the easiest way to attach, I gotta find a chair, hold on, do a little chair. All right, the easiest way to put the knife on here to file, I've got the file right here. is to just use a couple of the holes that you put in the knife to align it. So I put one little bolt right here that I can butt this up against, so that when I'm applying pressure that direction, it doesn't bend the blade. But what I've figured out is that attaching it through these holes is just the easiest, simplest, stress-free route. And it keeps everything good and low, where you're not hitting it with the file. And so, as you see right here, I hope y'all can see that when I start the file here, that masking fluid or marking fluid will show you where you're hitting on the blade. And since I'm trying to level it out and get up to my line up here, I want it to start up here. I don't want it to cut anymore into the middle of the blade. So I've got this back stop back here, drop down pretty low. And therefore, the angle it's hitting at, it's hitting up here instead of down here. So first you start off and go to your line, and then you keep moving this down until you get it equal. And in theory, you want it to be the perfect angle from where you want it to stop here and your middle line of your bevel. But now I've got all this metal that I've got to get out of the plunge line here. So I'm going to actually stand up because I can do this better standing up. My arm's probably going to be in the way too, and my coffee's going to move. I had this mounted down when I was doing it, but of course, again, when I got to do stuff on video, I'm just going to try to even this area out between the plunge line. So you can see that area of metal. And I've actually got quite a bit of metal to take out. And this not being mounted down, it's kind of a pain in the butt. My arm is probably right in the way. No, actually, the camera should be above me enough that what I'm trying to do is blend in my plunge cut with the rest of it. And as you can see, I'm starting to knock down this part right here as I move up closer to the top up there. And I'm kind of holding the file at where I'm just touching that high spot. But it takes quite the amount of time and pressure to do this. it's just a matter of doing this for a long period of time. And like I said, I don't have the proper file. This front area needs to go up more than any of the rest of it. So that's why I don't know if y'all can even see the line right now. I'll tilt it where maybe you can see where the line's at. But hopefully you can see that. Let me see what the camera sees. Yeah, let me move it over a little more. Zoom in a little bit more. Hold on. There you go. So you can see my line up here and how I've got to raise that up on the front here. I did order a new file that will be here tomorrow that is longer than this one. It's a 14-inch file, and it's supposed to be a really rough, coarse file for moving lots of material. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't go into my plunge cut at all. I'm still just trying to remove that metal that's between it. And I might need to change the angle. I actually kind of do. And that's the good thing about these screws too, is you can just take one out and change your angle with the knife and put a new screw in. Let me take this out, and then it should be supported enough without this being in the way. So what I need to do is I need to rotate it this way to where my plunge cut. Actually, let's see. I might need to move it back a little bit. Let's see. So now I can line this file up with my this angle will all be the same, luckily. So that actually looks pretty good right there. So can I get any of my other holes? Yep. I can get this one back in that hole. All right, now that one's tightened down. Now my line is good and straight with my plunge cut. Right about there is perfect. And then I can take this other screw and just put it back in any of these other holes. And like I said, this little board, I can whip one of these up in little of no time. Hold on just a second. I've got my center punch right here. It will help me line up this hole better. There we go. Now I got a place to start this screw. Good old manual screwdrivers too. Seems like I've been using a lot of manual tools on this project. All right. Now we got the knife locked back down. Angles stay the same. But I'm lined up here with my plunge cut now. And it shouldn't affect anything else. I should be hitting the same place, except that I'm hitting the wood, which I'm not worried about at the moment because I'm going to move it back when I get back to start working on the blade. But yeah, we're getting this area combined right here pretty good. I'm actually going to sit down now because I'm tired of standing. It's hurting my back bending over that far. Now that I got this lined up a little better. But yes, this just takes some time and some manual labor. So we're getting up there. Still got, like I said, I put in an hour and a half so far on this thing, so I'm just the grinding. And where I was working on it out in the garage was a lot more stable than on this table right here. We're good so far. I mean, I know this is riveting TV watching me do this because of how little metal is coming off each time, but I'm hoping you're learning something at least. All right, almost got my plunge cut connected to the rest of the grind. I'm trying to be careful. All right, now I'm hitting, now that I've got it better, might go back to my original layout of the sweep. Because I'm hitting out here on the edge, just barely. Let me get a little bit more of this combined here. All right, I've got this connected pretty good now. So I'm going to go back to my original mount position, because I can work on this getting this plunge line dialed in manually with sandpaper or some other way, so I don't need to worry about it as much now. I'm going to go back to my original holes that I was using along with this bolt. So now I can line that up right there. See, which holes was it? It was that one and that one. All right. I think it was this one. Yes. This one. And this one. I know I'm probably blocking everything right now, but give me just a second. All right, so that should be back to where I was. And now I can work on getting this all evened up again. All you have to do is just keep changing your angle and working it towards your lines. Front needs to come up towards the line more than anywhere, except that very back. But like I said, having a new file is pretty much key. But, you know, you can see all the metal that I am removing up here. And it's thicker down here at the edge, and you can feel where it's hot too. So I'm just hitting up here on this edge. But it's also, you're taking off more down here. So like I said, in theory, you want to get your angle exactly set to where you're even at the top with this line and at the bottom with your middle line. And once you do a couple of knives of the same thickness, you can probably start to set your guides accordingly by knowing how shallow of an angle you need. But you want to make sure that I'm only hitting up here at the top, because if I keep hitting here at the edge, it'll keep going past my center line. So you have to drop that back angle down where you're always just hitting up here until you get to that line, and then you need to mark it with marking fluid and get it to where you're hitting it all evenly and adjust it accordingly. But right now I'm still just taking off metal up here at the top. And it's just slowly but surely coming off. This file sucks, and I've had to do a bunch of extra work that I probably shouldn't have had to do if I had proper tooling. That's why I have ordered a new file. It will be here tomorrow because I'm having to do extra work because of my file situation here. Now I'm kind of just pressing on the left-hand side of this, trying to get this evened up some more by my plunge cut. But you can see it does take lots of manual labor. But, I mean, if you're working on something like this for yourself, you don't really care about the time that you put in. It just means more to you once you're done. In reality. And as you can see, there is metal coming off up there. And I'm not sure if y'all can see the line changing better than I can, being that you're all zoomed in. But I'm pretty close to even. I'm higher up here right in this spot than anywhere. So that's why I'm kind of working on this front. Well, I can't wait to get my new file tomorrow. All right, well, I'm not going to bore y'all to death with a bunch more of this today, but maybe you picked up on a few little things today. As far as this filing jig goes, using the screws through the handle where you drill out some holes seems to be the ticket. And having one screw up here where this pushes against, I was seeing the end of the blade flex when I would push really hard up here, and I didn't want it to bend it like long ways, bow it. So I put that in there to have a little stop for the metal when I'm really giving it a lot of pushing up here. And I've got it, I'm getting closer to even. So it is what it is. It just takes time. But we're going to take it back in there and talk a little bit about what I can't see the chat. So I've just kind of been talking to myself this whole time. But we will give it a once over once we get in there. So I'll be right back with y'all. Maybe grab my coffee. Hold on. All right, so I'm back in here now. And let me move some of this stuff out of the way here. But as you can see now, I've gone up a little higher right here than anywhere else, but it's still hot from where I was grinding it. And it's got some little weird, this will all even out once by the time I get up to that line. And then I'm going to have to drop it down anyway. I'm going to have to raise the back up anyway to get to this front line to even it all out. So those will go away. Don't fear those. But my plunge line and where I ground is almost connected. I just need to go up a little bit more here. And it's just a matter of time. Putting in some time, you know. And I will have to raise the back of the thing anyway. Like I said, I'll have to put more marking fluid on here and raise the back of it to where I'm hitting the whole thing flush to get it down to my middle line exactly once I get up here to this top edge. But having the plunge cut in there is good now. You can see it's curved. Looks good. I'll have to get the other side matching that perfectly, or try to. You can see where the line is to grind up to on the other side. I will leave it probably right where it is and start working the other side until I get to about this same point. And then I'll start working towards my middle line on both sides. But yeah, it's just manual labor, you know. There's no getting around it. You just got to put in the work. And if you use a belt sander and you get good and you make yourself a jig, which I will eventually do, I will make a little angled jig that I can hold up there and get the right grind. But I've heard people talk about that they've ruined lots of metal by using belt sanders too early in their career, because it's hard to, unless you use one daily, it's hard to get an even grind all the way across like this, same thickness. And I'm okay with my fixed angle sharpener, so it's basically the same concept as this, except you're just removing a lot more metal. I like the layout fluid. That's going to work good, especially once I get up to this line and I start raising it back up to see where it's hitting level across here the whole way. That'll be cool. Do me a favor, if y'all haven't hit that like button, please smash it for my sweating. Oh, that's cool, TC, that you work on your knife the same time when I'm working on mine. Pretty awesome. But I hope y'all understood what I said about the angle thing. Because when you raise that back, when you raise the back of that thing, it changes the angle, you know. So you want a perfect angle between this top line and the middle of the blade down here. And once you find that perfect angle, if you use the same blade thickness and wanted to repeat these grinds, you should be able to set it at that angle and just start grinding, and it should stop pretty much when you get to the middle line, or the middle line and this should hit this at the same time. So you should just be able to file it, and it would keep working it all, and they should even out. At the same time you got to this top line, you would get to the middle line down here. Yeah, and belt sanders will sling stuff across a shop too and are dangerous. And I didn't want to encourage people to use a dangerous thing. That filing jig I've got in there, anybody can build. Doesn't have to have the you know, a belt grinder and can accomplish it with a little elbow grease. But hopefully this week we will be at a point next week, I promise you, where it looks like this on both sides, and we're pretty close to being able to do the finishing touches on the blade, and then we should be able to heat treat. So by next week, I might have the materials gathered up to start making the little mini forge, hopefully. But enough about that for now. Let me relax and smoke a cigarette, and we will look at some other knives. Y'all got anything you want to look at today? If you didn't hear earlier, I had an issue with this knife when I got it. It's got the slightest bit of lock rock, and it's already locked up nearly 50%, and it doesn't feel like it stops when I press on it. I can still get it to rock a little bit, but maybe not. So I'm gonna try to take it apart and see if the two mating surfaces, I'll use some of this marking fluid. I'll put it on both the ends of the liner and where it contacts the blade, and see what kind of contact it's making. And I might need to sand down one of the two to get them to mate up better. And it might cause it to move over just a tad bit more, but at least it will not have lock rock. It's got more lock rock right now than this does, which is pretty wild, and it's not much at all. In fact, a lot of people probably wouldn't even notice it, but I seem to notice even the tiniest. Yeah, I've always got a pair of 3, John. You can see pair of 3 next to the Ultra Tech. That's what you were wanting to see. I'm telling you, for EDC, it's a lot better size than the Combat Trudon. This thing is a giant to carry every day. Yeah, mine just has the tiniest bit, TC. Not much at all. It feels like, and it's actually a weird kind of feeling. It's not a constant rock. Like, it only rocks at a certain point, and it feels like just something about the liner is not even all the way across, or something. Like part of the liner's touching, but the rest of it's not, or something. So I should be able to tune that out. Yes, sir. With my finger up here, now if I go behind it, I can't even hardly get that 4th finger on there. So it's right at 3. But if I do go up here and start that 2nd finger, it looks about like that. I hope that gives you a reference on size. There's not much room out the back of my hand there. I mean, my fingers, when comfortable, my pinky almost basically covers up the whole lanyard hole. Yeah, they dunk them in oil before they put them in those baggies. Like, I'm convinced. They like drop them down in oil. But like I explained on my post on Reddit, a lot of companies don't know how long they're going to be sitting on shelves. And it's a good practice in my book. I would rather be soaked in oil and last years sitting on a shelf. I mean, the way Tucson does it, you could literally come back 40 years from now and that knife would look brand new. Like, you could find a shelf full of Tucsons 40 years from now and they would look brand new. So I would rather them do that and let me have to remove a little oil than not have any on it at all. And that was the only problem with this one, is it just had too much oil. And that's all I did to fix it, was remove the oil. I didn't adjust anything. And we're probably getting close to 1,500 with no fail. So I'm happy with that. Anything else y'all want to look at? Let's see this. Let's do a comparison between the live wire and the Ultratech. Here you go. This should be a good little video for us to finish out the...
Two extremely popular American-made out-the-front automatic knives and comparing them, the Kershaw Livewire and the Microtech Ultratech. The Livewire is the newer of the two out-the-front automatics that has been around for probably going on 2 years now. It's been out for about a year or so, and the Ultratech has been around for many years and is
now that's not a Gen 3 Ultratech
for American,
but they should be about the same size.
It's got a really great reputation. There are lots of videos online about it.
Or exactly the same size.
We can do torture testing it and other things. So if you haven't done your research on either of these, definitely go check both of them out. But I'm going to for test of on 5 EV.
All right, let's get them open and see the comparisons.
For any bloom that when I it is sturdy. People technical and single dated. So chance steel, both that matters. Dated steel. So in my eye, and I a lot of but a lot.
Line them up better.
Again, you know, at least I product and because they're
all right, that's annoying.
Bit, but I think that they're just to I can't maybe live the.
He's talking about features and stuff. I just want to see them size by. I mean, they're pretty much the same size, but it looked like in his thumbnail he had them laying horizontally.
The Ultratech is what Microtech
with the blades open. Hopefully,
it's going to have them saying Ultratech, which I'm kind of
maybe not,
but I would imagine that's probably to include the 2 springs versus just having a single spring. So
yeah, here we go.
What it is. I really.
Why couldn't you put them side by side?
You don't need one feature that I really like on the American made.
All right, I'm gonna see if there's another one. Some knives fast. I know he'll show the right comparison. Let's see what we got here. There we go.
Now so let's go through that real quick. The Microtech Ultratech is a little bit smaller. Now the goofy window breaker, glass breaker doesn't help that, but 8.5 inches on the Microtech, 8.1 inches overall on the Kershaw, 3.44 inches on the Microtech blade, which is a little bit longer, 3.3 inches on the Kershaw, 4.6
yeah, 3.4 is what I said
of the Microtech, 4.8. So that's interesting. A little bit longer on the handle for the Kershaw. So the handle's a little bit longer, but the blade's a tiny bit shorter.
But they're real close.
Very sharp. And it also, one to me, could be a very tactical knife, and you can find this in an operator version, a blacked out version, as formal. Kershaw is flat scales with chamfers on the edges and feels very nice in the hand. I will say this part of the clip does poke up and sort of annoy me. Now you've got this guy. This guy actually has contoured scales. Your clip on this one.
There's a good comparison real quick. Yes, John, I do believe. Yes. No, well, The glass breaker holds the knife together. Pete, new scam, huh? Don't click on links from random messages you get. That's probably a good habit to have all around. Don't click on links you don't know. But John, to answer your question, it's held together by the glass breaker. So the threads, let me show you. The threads that hold the, well, grabbed the wrong one. The threads that hold the clip on and the back. So this screw right here screws in and holds the clip in, but it screws into the little glass breaker. And then when you take the other side off, it's a shorter screw, and the glass breaker will slide out. So you don't have to have it, but the threads are on that. So you can't put the clip back on without it in there, if that's what you were asking. So it does come out, and you could just take this and run it on a belt sander to where it was even with the back of the knife. You don't have to take it apart. Those 4 screws will stay in, and you can take this off. Let's see. But remember the long screw always goes through the clip part. So there's 2 of them, and the long one always goes in the clip. The way it's made is pretty cool, because you can take it, you can take all 4 of those screws out, and it's still held together by this back. Still good to go. Yeah, you can pop it out, John, and just sand it to where it's even with the back of the knife. That would be super easy. All you gotta do is take those 2 screws out, grab it with some vice grips, and hold it on the belt sander. I don't mind having it for emergencies. I think it's nice to have if you're in a car and you need to bust out your window if you get trapped in there, but... And it's not like it's major and sticks out on the Gen 3. See, the Gen 3 ones are different than the Gen 2 he was just showing. The Gen 2 that he was just showing on that video, let me see. See if we can get a close-up of that glass breaker. It's got the ball type. It's got the old ball type that sticks way out. But these new ones are a lot shorter. Yeah, it's got that, it sticks out way far. But the new one is not that bad, actually. It doesn't stick out very far. Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, compared to that thing, see, that's what I'm talking about. That one is ridiculous. And that's what they used to look like. But you can see the difference. Robin, yeah, that's pretty wild. I love this knife though. And Pete, like I said earlier, I've tried to get my finger caught in here, like, because of the weird shape of it, and I can't get it to not act perfect every time. Like, the fuller works great, like the area down in here works great to reverse flick. Every little section of it feels good, and your finger really can't go in there far enough to get stuck. But every opening way, this knife, I mean, the front flipper, the flipper tab, it's got that recessed flipper tab. It still needs to be cut off a little bit. I might sand it off to where it's flush with the scales. It does stick out a little bit when it's open. And if you took just that little bit off, it would still look cool. Yeah, it feels perfect. That keyhole feels perfect. It feels great. I'm up to 145 swaps on a knife swap now, and have still had no. I mean, you can pretty much, when you talk to somebody, you can tell by asking them a few questions, or, you know, I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I've had a couple of times where I didn't go through with the knife because they're acting just a little weird. So you can kind of tell, and after you do a bunch of buys on there, like most all of my 145 have all been purchases. I've only had about 5 or 6 sales on there. And after you do that many, you start making friends with guys that have multiple hundreds of swaps. And then Excalibur sold for $390. You start buying the knives from the same guys you bought knives from before. So, I don't know. Like I said, I've not had any issues. But you got to be smart when you're dealing with people on the internet, just period. There's always shiesty people trying to get over on people. Yeah, USPS has screwed me more than Knife Swap has. John, I lost a shaman on the way to me because of USPS. They just totally delivered it to the wrong guy's house, even though it was addressed to the correct address. They had a whole nother city in Tennessee, way far away. They just straight put it in the guy's mailbox, and then they couldn't get it back. So I totally lost, and it was a Rex 45 Shaman. I don't think so, Pete. I think that's a lazy man's button. Like, especially with the PM2, because it's so big. Like if you have a problem closing it, I mean, the button on the access to it's great. I mean, it just closes like it's supposed to. Maybe I'm used to it, but it doesn't seem like it takes much effort. I don't like the big button sticking out. But I don't have issues with any of the compression locks without having that button. Oh, that sucks, TC. Yeah, I don't trust USPS I trust them least than I do people on Knife Swap so far. I had yeah, I've started using insurance when I ship over $300 worth of knives. I used insurance when I just shipped those knives to Sever, because that was $500. So I bought $400 extra. It was only $4 extra, and it was worth it to me for the peace of mind. And they give you $100 free with the, with USPS. So I only just add on whatever extra, like a couple hundred, $2 extra, $3 extra. $3 instead of $300. Worth it to me for peace of mind. Well, all right, guys, it is Thursday. Today is going to be a good day. I just feel it. I am going to work on this some more because it's kind of relaxing. I'm so glad I got my plunge line put in now, and I just need to even it all up. I've got to make sure that I use the same exact file that I used and get the other side lined up exactly the same place. So that's going to be fun. But it is my first knife ever, so if it's a little crooked, I try to be a perfectionist at everything, but I've already got this hole back here that I messed up, and I figured out a way to fix that, so I'm guessing I will figure out a way to make it right, even if I do get it a little off. Thank you, mister. My little plug is still working good. I'm going to braze it in with some metal when we do the heat treat. So as it's in the forge, I'm going to use some of those brazing rods, and when it's red hot, I'm going to drop some around that edge to lock that in during the heat treat. But anyway, guys, hope y'all have a great Thursday. Appreciate y'all being here once again. And we will do it all again tomorrow. Professor Hackett and Nedge say hello. And they hope you have a good day as well. TC, have a great day. Andy Miller, yes, this is true. Perfect is overrated. I like a little touch of custom. Anyway, guys and gals, hope y'all have a great Thursday. Thank you, Michael. If y'all need me, hit me up, email. It's up there in the top right, BLADEALCHEMY4U@gmail.com.